Hello and welcome to this episode of the Global Innovators in Business series. In this series, we bring leaders and innovators from different fields, share their advice and experiences with undergraduate students to provide inspiration and motivation during the pandemic. We're so happy to have with us Laura Katz. Laura is the CEO and founder of Helaina, which aims to be the first company to put human proteins into food. Laura is also NYU's youngest ever adjunct professor in food sciences and technology in 2017 and was featured in Forbes 30s Under 30 list in 2022.
We are starting by using the glycoproteins we make in infant formula. No one's ever done this before. No consumers have been able to access these specific immune benefits from consumer products ever. They've only been accessible through breast milk. And for us, we really believe that the health outcomes for a baby drinking formula should be as close to those of breast milk as possible. And from there, we really envision the use of these glycoproteins in all different types of foods, where we can turn to food to manage our health in a much more focused way, specifically on immune health. We are building the future of that here at Helaina. So Helaina is my great grandmother who immigrated to Canada, where I'm natively from, Eastern Europe, and she was fleeing where she's coming from, really living in poverty, seeking a better life in North America. And she actually, ultimately, when she moved here, took over the family business. So she became a late in life businesswoman at a time where women were not running businesses. It was a very different time, and she really kicked butt in that role. So she was a pretty powerful woman, and that was, for us to name the business after her, and for her to be able to even imagine where women are today and the technology we're building for their future is something that I think is really, special. Obviously, we wish she could be here to see it, but different time. When I was maybe like 11 or 12 years old, I said to my parents, my purpose on this earth is to feed people. It's a very profound thing for like a child to say. But at the time I was like, no, I want to feed people. That's what I want to do. I had a very early interest in cooking, and I had watched Alton Brown on the Food Network for a while, who is, a sciencey chef. And I thought, well, this is interesting. Like I could actually learn a little bit more about my food and what it's doing, and I can pursue food science. So that's what I started with. When I went to college, I did an undergraduate degree in food science, moved here to New York City after that to continue my education at NYU, and did a master's degree there to learn more broadly about the food system and started to make food products from there. So early in my career, I was developing all different kinds of food products, from idea to lab to pilot plant to manufacturing to shelf and every step in between. And I saw all of this innovation going into alternative dairy and alternative meat. And this category of what we use to feed babies, and not just babies, but nutrition broadly, was really falling behind in terms of where technology was going. And at that moment, I was listening to a podcast about the black market for breast milk. Here in New York, there were parents on this podcast talking about how they would go on the internet and buy breast milk from strangers. And the reason they do this is to try to bring the immune properties of breast milk to their babies where they can't or choose not to breastfeed. And the current infant formula on the shelf was not something that they wanted to use. And knowing, okay, there's all of this innovation going into food technology. Can we do something here? Can we recreate what is so valuable about breast milk so that we can empower parents with what they use to feed their babies and hopefully improve the health outcomes of babies at the same time? So that was where the idea for Helaina started. And my background in food science, of course, really informed, okay, here's how we can actually get started. Here are the technologies available to us, and let's get this going. So that's the backstory of how it all came together. We see actually a pretty similar trajectory between male employees and female employees until women start to have children. And that is where we start to see at that moment in a woman's career, a big deviation in terms of the opportunity for her to grow into a more executive type role. And if we could be held responsible as employers to provide better parental leave policies, childcare support, opportunities in the workplace for parents to pump. It seems like, okay, this is just a point in someone's life, but it actually is such a defining point in a woman's life for the rest of her career. And I think in starting early, but then thinking about a woman's journey through her career and just changing that whole system will have a big impact. And then, the last piece I would say is we have to hold investors accountable for investing more diversely. We just saw, I think, a dip from, maybe a little bit over 2% to 1.9 or so percent of VC dollars going to women. 1.9%. We're not going to have women in these seats in female-led companies if women can't get funding. So it's a combination of all these things, and it's a lot to cover, but I do see a future where we can be making big improvements because female-led companies do perform better. You don't need to find it right away. I think that's really important, is you need to try a lot of things to figure out what you like and what you feel really connected to. That's going to happen at a different moment in life for different people. We don't all have to be running to this kind of conventional idea of success right at the beginning of our career. Things take time, and really just try to explore what you enjoy doing, and don't put yourself on a clock. I think that's really important. My recommendation is always find a role that you think sounds interesting. If you have the qualifications, even 50%, that's really all you need for a job. You don't need all the qualifications, and take it and see where it goes, and take the opportunities. And if you have a chance in the evenings or the weekends to try something different, maybe it's not a paid opportunity, but something where you're learning a new skill or being exposed to a new environment, maybe that's something that you start to enjoy. So that's how I would approach it.